Coxter Groups, Lecture 2, Permutation Representation. So let M be a Coxeter matrix on some set S. Let W be the corresponding Coxeter group. Recall that W is generated by the elements in S, and the relations are of the form st to the power mst is equal to the identity for all st elements in our set capital S. So in particular, all generating elements in S are involutions, that is, s squared is equal to the identity for each s in S. That's because the diagonal of our Coxeter matrix consists of ones. Definition: an element of W is called a reflection if it has the form W as W inverse for some S, a generator, and W an element in W. So conjugates of generators are called reflections. Let us remark that all reflections are involutions. That's because, by definition, all generators are involutions, so they square to the identity, and of course, when we conjugate, the same property remains true. So if you take W as W inverse and square it, we get W as W inverse W as W inverse. We cancel W inverse W in the middle, we get W as S W inverse. As S is the identity, we get W inverse, that's the identity. So for example, one of the examples of a Coxeter group was the symmetric group Sn, where the generators are the elementary transpositions, the transpositions which swap I and I plus 1 for all I between 1 and n minus 1. So these are the generators of this Coxeter group, and the conjugates to elementary transpositions are exactly all transpositions. So the reflections in the symmetric group considered as a Coxeter group are all transpositions. So now we can formulate the main result for today. Let T be the set of all reflections in W. Consider the set R defined as the Cartesian product of T with the set plus minus 1. For a generator S in capital S and a reflection T in T, define eta st as minus 1 if S is equal to T and as plus 1 in all other cases. And now for any generator S, define a transformation pi s of R as follows. Pi s applied to the pair t, epsilon is equal to the pair sts, epsilon times eta s, t. So we conjugate the reflection, which is the first argument of our pair, by the element s, and then as the sign, the second element of our pair, we just multiply with this eta st. So we add a sign if s is equal to t, and we don't do anything to the sign part otherwise. So here the main theorem. We have claim A. Mapping S to pi s extends uniquely to an injective homomorphism from W to the symmetric group on the set R. So we denote it W goes to pi W, where W is an element in our Coxeter group. So this representation is called the permutation representation of W. And claim B, if T is a reflection, then pi t applied to the pair t, epsilon is equal to t, minus epsilon. So the first part of the theorem, let us prove that assignment S to pi of S indeed extends uniquely to a homomorphism. Since our Coxeter group is given by a presentation and we define a map on generators, we just need to check the defining relations for our pi s's. So let us start with the defining relations that pi s squared should be the identity. If t is equal to s, then pi s squared applied to s, epsilon. We apply it once, we get SSS, which is s, and since s is equal to s, we get the minus sign, so the second part becomes minus epsilon. And when we apply pi s again, s becomes s, and the sign changes again, and we get epsilon back. So pi s squared applied to s comma epsilon is s comma epsilon. If our reflection t is different from s, then pi s squared applied to t comma epsilon. The first application gives us sts comma epsilon. We don't change the sign because s and t are different, and we conjugate t by s. And also, since s is different from t, sts must be different from s. So when we apply pi s again, we get ss tss, which is t, and the sign doesn't change. We get epsilon. And this proves that pi s squared is indeed the identity transformation, which is equal to pi of e. Now, let s and s prime be two different elements in S, and assume that the value of the Coxeter matrix M at the pair s, s prime is k and is finite. We need to check the relation that pi s after pi s prime to the power k is equal to the identity. So for a reflection t, we have that pi s prime to the power k applied to t comma epsilon gives us s prime to the power k times t times s prime s to the power k, and then some sign epsilon prime. So here s prime to the power k is equal to the identity and is equal to s prime s to the power k because of our relations in the Coxeter group. So at the first component we get t, and that's fine. What we need to check that at the second component the sign epsilon prime which we get is equal to epsilon. To do this, let us define Q as the following set. We start from s and s prime, we conjugate s prime by s and s by s prime, and we continue this conjugation. So we start from s and s prime, and we conjugate them by elements s and s prime, and consider all elements which you can get in this way. If we have some reflection t which doesn't belong to the set Q, then in the sequence t, s prime, ts prime, ss prime, ts prime, s, and so on, no element is equal to s or s prime. So no element belongs to Q. But this means that by our definition of how the sign changes, there is no sign change in our application of pi s or pi s prime, because we never have that s or s prime is equal to the reflection to which we apply the element. And so this means that epsilon prime is equal to epsilon, and this case is done. It remains to consider the case when we have a reflection t which belongs to our set Q. And this is essentially a rank 2 situation, because now we have only s and s prime involved and nothing else. Let us note that the set Q is finite because ss prime to the power k is equal to s prime s to the power k is equal to the identity due to our Coxeter relations. And note also that in the Coxeter relation, the power which guarantees that s prime to the power k is equal to the identity is our number k from the Coxeter matrix. We might potentially have that some smaller power of s prime is equal to the identity. Let's call this power L. So this might happen for some L which divides k. So let us fix L as a minimal number such that s prime to the power L is equal to the identity. So what we need to show that starting from some t in Q and applying our transformations of we go from an element, we conjugate by s prime, then by s, and then again by s prime, by s, and so on. And we do it k times for the pair, so 2k transformations in total. We need to prove that we have an even number of sign changes. And since our smallest number L, such that ss prime to the power L is equal to the identity, divides k, we can replace k by L, and we will prove that for 2L transformations we will have exactly 2 changes of the sign. And since L divides k, we will have an even number of changes for 2k transformations. Okay, The argument will depend on the parity of L. We will prove it for, or we will check it for L is equal to 3 and 4, and we will see that the general case is similar. For L is equal to 3, S prime to the power 3 is the identity, which means that S prime S is equal to S prime S prime. And our set Q consists just of S prime, and S prime S, which is the same as S prime S prime. And now look at the sequence. We start from S, we conjugate by S prime, then by S again, we get back to S prime, we conjugate by S prime, we get S prime, we conjugate by S, then by S prime to get S, and then we conjugate by S, we get S. And at this stage we return to the starting point of our sequence. And we see that in these 6 steps we have exactly 2 sign changes. Here in the middle, when we conjugate S prime by S prime, and here at the end when we conjugate S by S. So in the sequence of 2 times 3 of 6 steps, we have 2 sign changes. One for S and one for S prime. Now, if L is equal to 4, we have S prime to the power 4 is the identity, which means that S prime S prime is equal to S prime S prime S. Then our set Q consists of S prime S prime S, and S prime S prime. Let us consider the sequence S, then conjugate of it by S prime, then conjugate of it by S. And now we see that if we conjugate S prime by S, because of our relations we get S prime back. We conjugate by S prime again, we get S, and now conjugation by S gives us S, and we are at the beginning of our sequence, and then repeating the whole thing once more, we get the same. And here we again see that we have 2 sign changes. SSS is equal to S here, and SSS is equal to S here. So again, we have 2 sign changes, and the same thing happens for any L. So if L is odd, we will see the situation similar to L is equal to 3, and if L is even, we will have a situation similar to L is equal to 4. And this completes our verification of defining relations, so this means that our pi s's satisfy the defining relation for our Coxeter group, and so it proves that sending S to pi s extends uniquely to a homomorphism from W to the symmetric group on the set R. Next, we need to prove that this homomorphism is injective. So let W be an element in our Coxeter group which is different from the identity. Choose the so-called reduced expression for W. Let us write W as a product of generators in the shortest possible way. So W is S1 times S2 times and so on times Sk, where all Si's are generators and K is minimal possible. Let us compute pi W applied to Sk, 1. Let us note that pi W, because we have a representation, is equal to pi S1 after pi S2 after and so on after pi Sk. At the first step, pi Sk applied to Sk, 1 is equal to Sk, minus 1 by definition. At the second step, let us note that Sk minus 1 is definitely different from Sk because K is minimal possible. Therefore, applying pi Sk minus 1 to Sk, minus 1, we get Sk minus 1, Sk minus 1, we conjugate Sk by Sk minus 1, and the sign remains as it was, minus 1. Now on the third step, we claim that Sk minus 2 is different from Sk minus 1, Sk minus 1. Indeed, if these two elements were the same, then multiplying with Sk minus 1 on the right, we would get Sk minus 2, Sk minus 1 is equal to Sk minus 1, Sk. And now if we replace Sk minus 1, Sk by Sk minus 2, Sk minus 1 in the expression of W, we can cancel the two Sk minus 2's which now stay next to each other and reduce the expression for W. So this contradicts the minimality of K. And now continuing in the same way, we will get that pi W applied to Sk, 1 is equal to the W conjugate of Sk, minus 1. And this means that in particular we have here the sign -1, pi w cannot be the identity map, and so our representation map is indeed injective. So it remains to consider the action of reflections. So let's take any reflection T and let us write it as a conjugate of some sk by some elements, by basis elements, in the minimal possible way, in the shortest possible way. And let us proceed by induction k. If k is equal to 1, that our reflection is actually a generator, and for the generator the fact that pi t applied to t, 1 gives t minus 1 is just the definition. To prove induction step, let k be greater than 1, and let's denote by u the conjugate which is one step smaller. So we take the same expression and delete s1 on the left and s1 on the right. Then of course pi t is equal to pi s1 composition with pi u composition with pi s1, and s1 t s1, which is u. It is different from t due to the minimality of k. Therefore, at the first step, pi s1 applied to t plus u gives us u plus 1. Then we do pi u, and we apply it to u plus 1. By induction, this gives us u minus 1. And at the last step, s1 is different from u, because s1 is different from t, and s1 t s1 is equal to u. Applying pi s1 to u minus 1 gives us t minus 1. And this completes the proof. So here is an example. Let us take S to be the set with two elements, little s and t, and the non-trivial value of the Coxeter matrix to be 3. Then W is given by the presentation s, t, s squared is the identity, t squared is the identity, st to the power 3 is the identity. That's a group isomorphic to the symmetric group S3, and the elements are the identity, S, T, ST, TS, and STS, which is the same as TST. Then the set of all reflections consists of ST and STS, which is TST. And here's the explicit description of the action of all our pi W, where W is an element in our group, on elements in the set R. So the set R consists of s,1, s,-1, t,1, t,-1, sts,1, and sts,-1. Of course, the identity acts as the identity. The element s applied to s,1 gives s,-1 by definition, and applied to s-1 gives s1. Applied to t,1 we get sts conjugate, 1, and applied to t,-1 we get sts,-1. Applied to sts,-1 we get t,1 back, applied to sts,-1 we get t,-1 back. And similarly one can compute the action of all other elements of W in this permutation representation. They are explicitly given in this table. Some additional problems and questions at the end. Problem question 1. Describe all reflections in dihedral groups. Problem question 2. In the proof of the first part of the main theorem, write down all details for the general case of L. Problem question 3. Compute explicitly the permutation representation for the dihedral group D2 times 4. Problem question 4. What is the role of the sign part in the permutation representation? And finally, problem question 5. Is being a reflection equivalent to being an involution for some Coxeter group? Thank you very much, and see you next time.